I've done something small but quite important here. The reverse lockout. So what I've done on the gear lever, I've welded a slab of metal about 5mm thick to form an edge here, if you can see that. And then I've welded in this piece here, and it's got this, I'll put a link to this on the bottom of the video, but you can see, I can't remember what it's called, it's called a detente pin or a twist lock pin, I can't quite remember, but basically this pin comes out here. So what's that? Well, it's actually reverse gear lockout. So we're in neutral at the minute here. If we go down, reverse would be that way, but the pin stops it, and first would be that way. So I'll just get the tripod to show you the other thing this does. It's not so much, I mean, a reverse lockout is one of the requirements of the rules, so I had to do it, but it does a certain other feature. If I'm in first gear, it's back here, there, and I move off the line and I want to change into second quickly without fluffing my gear change, that's quite difficult because, especially on older cars, the neutral position, you sort of end up wiggling the stick trying to prove to yourself that you're in neutral, then find the next gear. Now this way, instead of moving it halfway across and hoping I'm in neutral so I can come up into second, then go forward into second, what I can do is I can just slam it forward till it hits the pin, like that. So it smacks into the pin, so just give it a good whack, smacks into the pin, and because of where I've welded it, I'm now in neutral. I'm in the mid position, so I just come up, and then I just slam it forward again into second, and then back into third, like that. So the change from first to second was what was bothering me, and I think this will fix it. So let's just get it, whoops, that's second. See what I mean? It's quite hard to get into neutral without overshooting. Right, back to first. Right, so just smack it forward till it hits the pin. Come up, go forward, second. So I think that'll help my gear changes. Not so much coming down the gears, but going up them, especially first to second. Oops. There. And the other thing I've done is, it's not just a strip of metal, I've welded a piece of tube to the inner edge of it here. So as my hand sits on the lever, this bit of my hand isn't scraping along a sharp edge. That's the plan anyway. So I think that kills kind of two problems at once. And then for the screw to go into reverse, you just put that down and twist it, and it holds down. Right, this just arrived. It's a choke cable. It's not the normal type of choke cable because the actual cable is solid wire. It's not stranded, it's solid, and you see it goes through that tiny hole there. These are sold for classic cars, also lawn mowers, things like that. The advantage of the solid wire is when you push the choke cable in, it can kind of push this lever back. The cable is, because the cable's not very soft, it won't just sort of bow and buckle. I've made up this simple bracket. Basically you need something that grips this outer tube so that when you push and pull on this cable, the outer tube doesn't try and break free. So the easiest way is a kind of clamp like this. You see it's something like this on classic cars, lawn mowers. So basically I just hammered this with a piece of strip in a vise and then cut it all down, and then tapped the thread in the lower part and the bolt just squeezes it together. Okay, so I've welded it in, so let's just see if it works. Yeah, pretty good. Right, so now I need to make a mount for this near the front of the car somewhere. So there we go, all neat. So let's give it a test. I always leave a little bit here so that when you push it back in, you know it definitely is all the way in. Yeah, definitely is. One thing I needed to do was to make a lower profile oil breather, because the bodywork comes like this and then there's that air filter running across here. So I've not damaged this, but I have damaged a standard oil reproduction one breather. I've welded a smaller diameter pipe inside, so if you stick that down there like that, you find that one of these aftermarket, I'm not sure it's Chevrolet, what it is, breather, it's just full of like wire wool, exactly fits on there. Thus lowering my profile. I don't know if it's low enough, but it's I can probably get away with that, even if the air filter's almost touching it. So my new low profile breather allows the air filter to fit where I originally planned it to be. In order to fit the new black hoses here, I've got to drain down the coolant a little way. So the way I've done that is, well, there's the drain tap. There's actually a tap on the radiator there, and that still works. So I've drilled a hole in the floor. If I put a little funnel there, if I drilled it in the right place, the liquid will just go into the funnel and drip out into this cakey thing, which I've stolen from my wife. Shh. And I drilled that hole from underneath using one of those 90-degree gearboxes. So there's the funnel. So you sort of hold that. You hold that with this hand, making sure you're not put gloves on. Pull the drill, and it works. It does actually work quite well. So never used it before. Probably won't last very long, but for the odd job like that, it's actually quite handy. Now, while I wait for my radiator to drain down, I'm thinking about my oil sender oil pressure sender leak, and I'm doing the wrong thing here. I'm wrapping it with Teflon, and the Teflon goes round it. It screws in that way, so the Teflon is laid on like that, so that as you screw it in, it doesn't sort of unturn the Teflon, if you like, and you want it with a big ring of it at the join and none of it on the thread. So it screws in that way, so you lay the Teflon on that way, and making sure none of it is over the end of the sensor hole. So I've done the same with my adapter here. So I'm going to screw that into the adapter. See how it goes. I may have put too many turns on. It should start off easy. I've cleaned all this first. There we are. Right. And you should say Teflon's bad. You shouldn't use it for this sort of thing. I know. But it has gap filling properties. I've tried magic paste, and it's obviously not doing the job. I actually don't think the leak's here. I think the leak's here, where it goes into my old engine, basically, casting. So not quite sure how tight I should do this up either. I'm just going to go I'm not going to hold the spanner at the end here, I'm going to hold it inboard here and then get it reasonably tight there. So start snapping things. That seems about right. And then we'll put that into the engine. Now, remember this engine everything on this engine will probably be taken off after I've been to Pendine because I've got a whole year before I go again. Or I might go to an event called Ride the Waves at Bridlington in Devon, I think it is. Unless I start going abroad. I think there's a festival in Denmark. There's another one in France, quite near one of the ferry ports. So they're possibilities. Anyway, this is only got to last a few weeks from now, so I'm going to take the chance. In case you're wondering about the birds in my videos, I've got a bush here. The birds just love to sit in it. Anyway, here we go. You would think that would be good enough. We'll see. Meanwhile, I've drained off a whole load of coolant, so I quite like this fluorescent green. I mean, you can certainly see if you've got a leak pretty easily. So next thing, of course, it's gone down there, and unless we've got airlocks, these should be empty now, so I should be able to replace these with these. So you see, this is pretty fiddly. If you don't get the thermostat in the right place, it shoots off sort of an angle like that up here. But with care, you can get the Jubilee clip to grip it. So now I can put that on with another Jubilee clip holding the hose, and then just feel to make sure it hasn't moved. I'll be pretty confident that'll stay put. Well, this was actually a failure because if you compare the angle on here, it's straight with a tight bend. If you look at this one, it's a 90-degree bend, but it's more gradual. Now that matters because in this one, you couldn't get the thermostat to stay put. It kept swiveling round and ending up sort of that way. Whereas in this one, you can just clamp it in place. It just kind of fits, just whilst keeping this level. The reason I've cut this so short is I want this pipe level, not sloping sort of down towards the radiator. I don't know if it matters much, but so I'm keeping the red ones. So I'll tape them up or I'll paint them black or something, but I'm not going to risk it not working at all for a colour change. So yeah, I'll think of a way. It'll be black eventually. Right, the coolant's back in, nothing's leaking at the moment. So I needed to take this side off anyway because one of the rules I just read is if you've got a radiator, you've got to have a catch tank. So here's the brass tube. So I've got to put a plastic tube on that, run it outside of my aluminium panel and have a catch tank down there or there. I've got a little aluminium one that you can buy in mind that would fit. So that's the next step. So just for the record, this radiator cap will pop off £4 per square inch, which is like a low pressure, very low pressure system. From 37 onwards, apparently they had these up to that point. The system wasn't pressurised at all. So you don't want too much pressure, otherwise the water pump seals probably leak. So it's just slightly pressurised, just increases the boiling point of the water slightly. So this is an overflow pipe, so if you turned off the engine and everything contracted inside the radiator, it wouldn't suck water back. This literally just goes to a catch can. So I managed to get this piece of, I think it's fuel hose on there with a clamp, There's the other end, so it's overlong at the minute. So you need to find some sort of catch can to go in there. And I need to make a little cutout in my aluminium side panel for this hose to come out through. So there's my reasonably neat hole for the catch can hose to come out of. So I think if we can get a catch can to fit down there, that would be best. The fuel tank has a vent hose. It's got like a valve in it, so if it's turned upside down, I think it blocks off. But anyway, I think that's how it works. Anyway, you're meant to run the hose down through the bottom of the car. So to just, rather than just poke it out through a hole in the bottom of the under tray, I'm going to use one of these. It's a through panel fitting for liquids and gases. You can see it's got a nut on it there to clamp. So I could run that through the bottom panel, probably shorten it, and then fix the flex hose to it, and it's a nice neat fitting then. So.